Virtually every trucker's got that one chicken house story that stays locked in memory. I am sure a lot of you know exactly what I am talking about. That one chicken coop memory that comes flooding back and rushes to the forefront of your thought. The memory flashes before your eyes and makes you feel a sense of apprehension. And without fail, that same memory flashes each and every time you see the open sign as you approach a scale house. In this video, we will be discussing some of the worst experiences some drivers have had at chicken coops, straight from truckers who lived it. And yeah, I'll tell you about the time I got stuck in Arizona with a reefer load that was overweight.
Yup, nothing like getting pulled into an inspection stall at a chicken coop, waiting and hoping that the DOT doesn't keep you there forever, inspecting what sometimes seems like your whole life. For anyone out there that has never crossed over a commercial weigh station, truck drivers sometimes refer to them as scale houses, chicken coops, or just plain old coops. Whichever slang term you prefer to use is really up to you, because they all mean the same thing. It also means you better have your act together in case you get inspected, your equipment better be right, and your paperwork better be up to snuff.
I was over on Reddit's website answering a question from a driver, and the subject of scalehouse horror stories came up. We swapped a couple of stories, but it started me thinking, how many other drivers have had a particularly bad experience at a chicken house? So I started to look back at some of the comments and posts made by other drivers on Reddit, CDL Life, and on my videos as well. Some of the stories are pretty wild. A driver on Reddit said he rolled into a Louisiana scale and the officer told him he was 4,000 pounds overweight and it was all on his steer axle. Turns out, the shipper had a newbie running the forklift and loaded the driver super nose heavy. DOT fined him and told him he was shut down until he found someone to adjust the load on the trailer and they re-weighed him. Driver couldn't find anyone to come out to adjust the load until the following morning. By the time he was back on the road, most of the day was shot and the end result is he got an overweight ticket that probably could have been prevented, and he lost almost an entire day when it was all said and done.
That's the thing. As a driver, you're the one left holding the bag should something go wrong. That's why it's so damn important that you check that load before leaving the shipper. If possible, you really want to watch them load it and speak up if they are not leveling it out. If it's already pre-loaded, glance in the back of the trailer to see if the load was stretched out. If the load doesn't look right, make sure you go right back to the shipping office and ask for a rework on the load. If they refuse, make sure you write a notation on the bills saying that you asked for a rework and was refused, and get the shipping clerk to sign or initial it. This could save your bacon moving forward by putting the onus on the shipper to pay for any possible fines. If they don't have a scale on site, make sure you stop at the very first truck stop scale you come to. A lot of guys swear by their truck gauges to tell them if the weight is okay, but I would rather be safe than sorry, and especially if it's a long trip.
Another one from a CDL Life thread. Driver said he pulled into a Texas scale and an officer told him, "Shut it down, your trailer's leaning." Turns out, one of his leaf springs snapped clean in half somewhere on I-20. Driver was just glad they caught it before the whole axle walked out from under him. Sounds to me like this driver had his guardian angel along for the ride. Now let me tell you my own run-in. This was back in the day when I was still a wet-behind-the-ears rookie driver and still took everything for granted. Anyway, I was hauling a load of fresh produce out of Fresno, California, headed to a company named Taymarkin in Youngstown, Ohio. It was a reefer load, nice and tight, all good on the paperwork, or so I thought. I hit the Arizona state scale and saw that big, bright open sign, so no skipping this one. I roll across and the DOT officer waves me over. He walks up, says, "Driver, you're overweight on your gross." I'm thinking, no way. The bills say it's 42,000 pounds, so I should be okay. The DOT cop was pretty cool about it. He explained to me that the shippers have a habit of putting about a ton of ice right on top of the produce. They do it to keep the produce fresh for the long haul, knowing that it will melt off during the trip. But guess what? Ice adds weight. Now, at the time, I was pretty pissed. But in hindsight, this DOT cop was pretty cool. The officer says, "Well, driver, I could ticket you for being overweight and put you out of service until you get the weight right. Or you can take your 10-hour break and sit right here and let some of that ice melt off." Needless to say, after careful consideration, I thought it was a good time to take my 10-hour break. So, I'm parked in the Arizona sun, reefer humming away, watching streams of water pouring out the back doors. Bernie, I'm telling you, It felt like I was babysitting a giant cooler at a backyard barbecue.
Yeah, and instead of burgers and beer, you got ice-packed produce and a DOT cop drinking coffee and watching the show.
Yup. After taking my full break, the ice had melted enough to make me legal, and off I went. No fine, no warning. But I learned something that day. When you're hauling produce in the summer, ice can be the difference between green lights and green slips. Another one from Facebook. A driver said he hit the scale in Florida. Officer asked for his logbook, then disappeared. When the officer came back, he had 2 other DOT guys with him and a drug dog too. They tore through that truck so hard the driver said it looked like a tornado hit his sleeper. Turns out the other 2 DOT cops were in training, and they were using me as training for what to do on a random inspection.
Random, huh? That's DOT for we got bored. Here's a fun fact for you. Contrary to popular belief, not everyone working at a weigh station is a police officer. However, most stations are operated under the state's Department of Transportation or Department of Public Safety. Some are trained civilian inspectors, others are state troopers or certified DOT officers. Either way, they go through some seriously detailed training. That includes learning how to inspect brakes, tires, lights, suspension, and paperwork.
And one more from FreightWaves. A driver hauling cattle got stopped in Nebraska. The DOT claimed he was overweight, but the driver swore up and down that the load was legal. Turns out, the cattle had bunched up at the front of the trailer while climbing a hill right before the scale. The animals shifted back, and then boom! The axle weight went back to normal. Talk about a moving target. So here's the thing. Chicken houses aren't always about giving out violation tickets. Sometimes they can save you by spotting an equipment problem that could bite you in the ass and cause a huge problem down the road. But then there are indeed those times when those DOT cops have a bug up their ass, and they can be your worst nightmare. Either way, every driver that has spent some time out on the road has got a chicken house story. I made a previous video explaining the inner workings of weigh stations and what they are looking for. The title of that video is Weigh Station Secrets: What the Chicken House Sees When You Roll In. I will leave a link in the description of this video for those that might want to view that video. One of the biggest changes in weigh stations over the past 20 years or so is the technology in use today. The second you start driving toward the station, systems are already scanning your vehicle. They use something called weigh-in-motion sensors, so even if you don't stop, they already know your axle weights. Some stations have infrared brake scanners that measure the temperature of each wheel as you drive by. If one is colder than the others, it means that brake might not be working. Other systems check your tire pressure, look under the truck with cameras, and scan your license plate to instantly pull up your safety record.
We want to hear about your chicken house experiences. Drop us a comment with the craziest weigh station moment that happened to you, or maybe something you have witnessed at a chicken house. Best one might just end up in our next video.
Please smash that like button and the notification bell. Remember to subscribe and share this with another driver. And remember to protect your load, protect your rig, and protect yourself.
Leave us a comment below with your thoughts and ideas. If it's a good idea, we will share it with everyone. Just let us know in the comment if that would be okay with you. Well, my friends, stay safe and stay loaded out there. Catch you on the rebound. Remember to keep that left door closed and your hands on the wheel.